The congressional hearing room felt like a pressure cooker ready to blow. Governor Greg Abbott sat at the witness table projecting the confidence of a man who'd spent decades navigating Texas politics and believed he had seen it all. His wheelchair was positioned squarely in the center, cameras capturing every angle as he leaned toward the microphone with the practiced ease of someone who'd testified before Congress more times than he could count. Today, Abbott was here to promote his latest legislative creation, the Community Protection Act, a bill he'd been selling to Texans as the answer to their public safety concerns. His opening statement was polished and familiar, full of the law and order rhetoric that played well with his base. "We're simply giving law enforcement the tools they need to keep our communities safe," he declared, voice steady with Texas swagger and political gravitas. Several seats away, Representative Jasmine Crockett listened with the intensity of a seasoned trial lawyer spotting cracks in opposing counsel's case. At 42, the Dallas Congresswoman had earned a reputation for exhaustive preparation and an absolute refusal to let political spin go unchallenged. While other committee members politely nodded, occasionally checking their phones, Crockett remained still, her pen gliding across her notepad as she built her argument. She had spent the last 72 hours doing what she always did before a high-stakes hearing, reading every sentence of the proposed legislation, cross-checking it with constitutional law, consulting civil liberties experts, and gathering examples from states that had enacted similar statutes. Abbott had painted Texas as a state under siege, rising crime, struggling police departments, fearful communities. The solution, he insisted, was straightforward: expand law enforcement authority, create new categories of prohibited conduct, give prosecutors more tools. On the surface, it all sounded reasonable. But Crockett had read past the talking points. Buried in sections 7 through 12, she found language so broad it could turn peaceful protest into a felony, transform online organizing into criminal conspiracy, and give police power to shut down gatherings based on what might happen. The committee chairman glanced at his agenda. The chair now recognizes Representative Crockett of Texas for 5 minutes of questioning. The room's energy shifted instantly. Reporters leaned forward. Camera operators adjusted their angles. Staffers stopped whispering. Anyone familiar with Crockett's hearings knew that her 5 minutes rarely stayed within 5 minutes, and witnesses rarely walked away unscathed. Crockett adjusted her microphone with deliberate calm and met Abbott's gaze. "Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Abbott, let me begin with your premise. You're telling this committee that your bill is necessary to keep Texans safe. Is that accurate?" "That's exactly right," Abbott replied, smiling confidently. "This legislation gives law enforcement the resources and authority they need to protect our communities." Crockett nodded thoughtfully. "And you've repeated that this is about fighting crime and protecting families." "Important goals, certainly." Abbott's smile widened. "I'm glad we can agree, Representative. A tactical mistake, and Crockett had led him straight into it. "Common ground is always a good place to start," she said. "So let's talk about what the bill actually does. Not the press release version, but the text you're asking Congress to support." She lifted a thick document filled with colored tabs. Section 7 creates a new offense called organized disruption. "Could you explain what qualifies as organized disruption under your bill?" Abbott answered smoothly. "It addresses groups that intentionally disrupt public order, blocking roads, interfering with commerce. Common sense public safety." Crockett flipped to a tab. "Let's read it aloud. Organized disruption shall be defined as any gathering of 3 or more persons that creates or has the potential to create interference with normal activities, traffic flow, business operations, or public services." She looked up. "Governor, under that definition, couldn't college students protesting tuition hikes be arrested? Couldn't parents outside a school board meeting be charged? Workers picketing for better wages?" Abbott's smile tightened. "Those scenarios are hypothetical." "They're not hypothetical at all," Crockett replied. "They are protected First Amendment activities that occur every day in Texas." A ripple of murmurs moved through the room. "And Section 9, she continued, allows police to disperse any gathering they deem potentially disruptive before anything actually occurs. That is textbook prior restraint. The Supreme Court has rejected that for decades." Abbott leaned forward. "Public safety sometimes requires." "Public safety does not override the Constitution," Crockett fired back. She turned to another tab. Section 11 criminalizes using social media or electronic communication to coordinate activities that may result in disruption. Governor, you've made it illegal to organize a protest through Facebook, Twitter, or a group chat. Abbott's face flushed. Those provisions include safeguards. Where? Crockett demanded. Show me. Because constitutional scholars from UT, SMU, and Baylor reviewed this bill. All of them said the same thing. It wouldn't survive its first court challenge. It's a frontal assault on the First Amendment. The murmurs grew louder. Abbott tried a different angle, condescending. Representative, as someone newer to Congress. Crockett cut him off, voice sharp. Governor, I spent 15 years as a civil rights attorney. I've defended protesters and challenged laws just like this one. So do not suggest I don't understand what I'm reading. The room went silent. And Section 12, she continued, creates civil liability for anyone who provides material support to activities that result in arrests under this act. Churches handing out water could be sued. Businesses letting protesters use a restroom could be penalized. Lawyers offering free advice could face punishment. She leaned in. This doesn't just criminalize protest. It criminalizes community. The word she delivered next hit like a thunderclap. That, Governor, is authoritarianism. Journalists typed frantically. Cameras flashed. Abbott's composure cracked. Crockett pressed on. Let me ask you directly. Under your bill, could the Selma to Montgomery marchers of 1965 have been arrested? Abbott hesitated. The historical context is different. Could they have been arrested? Yes or no? The specifics would depend. Yes or no, Governor? He said nothing. Crockett answered for him. Under Section 7, they blocked traffic. Under Section 9, police could have dispersed them. Under Section 12, churches feeding them could be sued. Your bill would have made the civil rights movement illegal. The room erupted. Republicans calling for order, Democrats applauding, reporters shouting questions. Crockett lifted her copy of the Constitution. The First Amendment does not say, unless someone in power finds the speech disruptive. It says these rights shall not be abridged. This bill violates that principle on every page. She turned to the chairman. Mr. Chairman, I move that we table consideration of federal support for this bill pending a full constitutional review by the Congressional Research Service. The motion was seconded instantly. By the time the hearing ended, the damage was irreversible. Clips of Crockett's questioning spread across social media. Crockett destroys Abbott trended nationwide. Legal scholars weighed in. The ACLU issued a statement supporting her analysis. Even conservative commentators expressed concern. Within days, CRS released a preliminary review confirming major constitutional problems. 2 weeks later, Abbott quietly announced he was revisiting portions of the bill, an admission that it was effectively dead. At a local town hall, Crockett kept the focus on principle, not politics. I didn't go after Governor Abbott, she said. I went after a bill that criminalized constitutional rights. That's my job. A grandmother who'd once been arrested at a peaceful protest stood and said, through tears, "Thank you for reading those bills so carefully. Thank you for understanding what they mean for people like me." That moment captured what made Crockett's questioning resonate, not the virality, but the defense of fundamental rights.